Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to do a quick media analysis. Of course, get in on the updated ceasefire that is pretty much cooked because Israel wanted to go all out on Lebanon. So we'll get into that. And then, of course, we got to get into Caroline Leavitt's press briefing. So let's start off on that, and then we're going to get into the ceasefire a little bit more. But let's not forget to like that video. And if you're watching on the vertical live, double tap that screen. All right, let's go.
Before I discuss the ceasefire with Iran, I have a quick update from the First Lady of the United States. Yesterday marked the very first conviction under the Take It Down Act, landmark legislation that First Lady Melania Trump played an instrumental role in getting passed that protects victims from non-consensual AI-generated sexually explicit images, cyber stalking, and threats of violence. This is a huge achievement for the First Lady, and I know the President is very proud of his wife's efforts in getting this critical legislation passed to protect America's youth. So we thank the First Lady for her efforts, and we hope that others will report on this historic conviction yesterday. With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the President and our incredible military made happen. From the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump stated this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic Iranian regime. Thanks to the unbelievable capabilities of America's war fighters, the United States
has... And you know what's so funny about this press briefing? Bro, this is crazy, but Israel literally carried out their strike on Lebanon as she was doing this. So I do believe somewhere in this press briefing, they asked her and she kind of gets blindsided by it. But yeah, she's pretty much boasting about the ceasefire and how we brought Iran to their knees when, I ain't gonna lie, in the world's view, it kind of looks like we just capitulated, but we'll see how that works out because both sides are sending their demands, and Trump is talking about we're going to use their 10-point demand that Iran has as the framework. And I mean, that's not really a good sign, but hey, it is what it is. Oh, and don't forget to double tap that screen like the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
Achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 38 days. The U.S. military destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, crushing the regime's ability to manufacture weapons that they and their proxies use to maim and kill Americans and terrorize the world. Iran's ability to build and stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has also been set back by years compared to where it was 6 weeks ago prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. We destroyed the vast majority of Iran's ballistic missiles, launcher vehicles, and long-range attack drones through more than 450 strikes on ballistic missiles and approximately 800 strikes on Iran's drone launching units and storage facilities. In total, more than 13,000 targets across Iran were struck. Again, this is in the matter of just 38 days. Meanwhile, the Iranian Navy was completely...
Yeah, but y'all said it only lasts a week.
...annihilated. The United States destroyed more than 150 naval vessels in total, including 16 entire classes of Iranian warships. Despite once being the largest undersea force in the Middle East, Iran now has 0 submarine vessels. 97% of Iran's once massive inventory of more than 5,000 naval mines has also been targeted and destroyed. Iran's air forces are functionally and operationally irrelevant at this point, after the United States maintained total air dominance over their country for weeks on end. To underscore the significance of this, before Operation Epic Fury, the Iranian Air Force would fly between 30 to 100 flights per day. Today, that number is 0. Iran's ability to fund and support its terrorist proxies has been greatly reduced. At this point, Iran can no longer distribute weapons to its proxies in the region. And most importantly, Iran will not be able to acquire...
1 week, then how is Hezbollah getting those advanced missiles to shoot into Israel? I mean, let's be honest. Like, Iran has honestly not really been stopped. They were still able to shoot their missiles into Israel. They were still able to threaten all the Gulf states to start sending drones at them. And of course, they got the Houthis over there on the side to also threaten the Gulf states. So honestly, now, as far as their Navy goes, sure, we took that out. Air Force, never really a threat. We're talking about jets that they had since the 70s. So that's not really something to brag about, but okay, we'll take it. I'll take it. The main problem was their missile capability. And the problem with their missile capability is that we could take out all the on-surface missile launches we want. The problem is that these guys got underground bunkers to where they come out, shoot these missiles, and keep it going. And we know for a fact that according to U.S. intelligence, only 33% of their missile stockpile has been depleted.
Nuclear weapons. Prior to the start of this successful operation, Iran was aggressive.
Oh, do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. We got like 100 of y'all in here. Appreciate the support, but make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video.
Expanding its short-range ballistic missile arsenal. Through these weapons and its navy, Iran was attempting to build a military buildup around their country that would pose an imminent and existential threat to the United States military assets in the Middle East, our allies in the region, and ultimately the free world. Iran was pursuing this dangerous and aggressive strategy for one reason: to hold the entire world hostage to its terrorist ambitions. The Iranians aim to use their expanded military capabilities as a shield around their country to continue achieving their ultimate goal internally, building nuclear bombs. But their murderous and evil plans have been blown up, quite literally and figuratively, along with their military, their nuclear program, and most of their senior leadership, including the former supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Their command and control structures were also massively disrupted after being struck more than 2,000 times. Many of their remaining leaders are paralyzed in fear and no longer enjoy the freedom to move around their country freely and meet openly. Thanks to the unmatched excellence of our warriors at the direction of the commander-in-chief, the world has just witnessed a historically swift and successful military triumph. President Trump started Operation Epic Fury with strategic military objectives, and the United States has clearly achieved them. As we mark this progress, we also remember and honor the 13.
Like, I'm sorry, but you know what? I'm actually happy to hear. If you're telling me that we've like pretty much decimated any way of them for getting to a nuclear bomb, great. And tell Mark Levin to shut the F up. And I mean, also, we don't have that enriched uranium, so they still got the uranium for sure. And that was apparently one of the goals, is to handle that enriched uranium. We don't got that. We don't have a regime change. They still got their missiles there to pop off at any second. And the reason we're not seeing that right now, well, actually, we are seeing that right now because the ceasefire is basically cooked because Israel can't control themselves. So, yeah, it's kind of looking a little complicated in the geopolitical sphere right now because we can't get this ceasefire going, one, because Israel can't control themselves. It's kind of crazy how they're talking about, oh, we got Iran under control, but they was able to close the Strait of Hormuz, and they was still able to threaten our allies, including Israel, this entire time. It's not like that threat went away.
American heroes who laid down their lives in this noble effort. I know President Trump and our grateful nation honors their ultimate sacrifice, and we will never forget them. May God bless their families. The valiant efforts of all of our incredible service members created maximum leverage for the President of the United States, allowing he and his leadership team to engage in tough negotiations over the past couple of weeks that have now created an opening for a diplomatic solution and long-term peace in the Middle East. The president's maximum pressure and the leverage created by the success of Operation Epic Fury led to the Iranian regime asking for and ultimately agreeing to a ceasefire proposal with the United States. Iran could no longer tolerate being bombed or taking the gamble of what was to come following President Trump's 8 p.m. deadline last night. Iran has agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz. And as the president said, we have received a proposal.
And I mean, as of right now, though, current news, the Strait of Hormuz is actually closed because of Israel striking on Lebanon. And the reason why they closed is because they said, well, Lebanon is included in the ceasefire. We said you're going to stop attacking all of our allies in the region. So that includes Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah. Israel said we ain't doing that. So pretty much Iran saying that we're not doing this ceasefire. And this is why the ceasefire pretty much fell apart. And Israel went all the way to F out. We're going to go ahead and look at some of the damage, but they committed like 100 strikes in like what, 10, 20 minutes with 50 jets is crazy.
From the Iranians that has been determined to be a workable basis on which to negotiate. I've seen a lot of inaccurate coverage today from the media about these negotiations and these plans already. So let me be clear and correct the record. The Iranians originally put forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. Many outlets in this room have falsely reported on that plan as being acceptable to the United States, and that is false. With the president's deadline fast approaching and the United States military completely decimating Iran with each passing hour, the regime acknowledged reality to the negotiating team. They put forward.
All right, now, if you don't know about the 10-point plan, I will go ahead and read out the 10-point plan right here. And you know what? Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys so you can see this as well. All right, so commitment to non-aggression. So pretty much they're telling us that, yo, you just got to back the F off with all this bombing. I mean, we'll see. That didn't happen. All right, Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. So pretty much what Iran wants is they want to be able to charge a $2 million fee for going through the Strait of Hormuz, including a $1 per gallon, $1 on each barrel of oil. So, I mean, you can imagine how much they'll be taking in with that. Acceptance of Iran's enrichment of, uranium enrichment. Pretty much they're saying, yo, my sovereignty, I have rights to enrich uranium, and they kind of do. And lifting all primary sanctions, AKA pretty much doing what Obama did under the JCPOA to get them to even sign the deal anyway. But we put those back on in 2018 with Trump. Lifting all secondary sanctions. I mean, we'll see about that. Termination of the UN Security Council resolution. Not really sure where they're going with that one. Termination of the Board of Governors resolution. Not sure where they're going with that one. And paying compensation to Iran. They want reparations. So they want us to pay reparations. Withdraw U.S. combat forces from the region. And let's see here. Cessation of war on all fronts include, So pretty much they want us to cease of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. And that's what we failed to do, guys. We were supposed to stop on all fronts. I mean, really, Israel was supposed to stop on all fronts. And for some reason, they didn't. Actually, they made us look like complete idiots and went balls to the wall on Hezbollah, or really southern Lebanon.
A more reasonable and entirely different and condensed plan to the president and his team. President Trump and the team determined the new modified plan was a workable basis on which to negotiate.
Oh, do me a favor, guys. Make sure we're liking the video by double tapping that screen, or if you're watching horizontal, just smashing that like button.
And to align it with our own 15-point proposal. The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd. The president will only make a deal that serves in the best interests of the United States of America, and he as a negotiating team will focus on this effort over the next 2 weeks, so long as the Strait of Hormuz remains open with no limitations or delays. These extraordinarily sensitive and complex negotiations will take place behind closed doors over the course of the next 2 weeks. I would strongly advise the media against running with narratives that have no basis in fact. What Iran says publicly or feeds to all of you in the press is much different than what they communicate to the United States.
Actually, no, sweetheart. Well, here's the problem. The Pakistani foreign minister came out. The guy, Pakistan, the guys who's pretty much mediating this negotiations or the ceasefire at least. And they're even saying that, no, what are you guys talking about? You guys were there. I mean, we were all there. Pakistan was there. Iran was there. U.S. was there. And we included Lebanon. And it was the Pakistani foreign minister that pretty much came out, and Iran's foreign guy came out, and they all pretty much said, yes, Lebanon was included in the ceasefire. What are you talking about? And the reason why we kind of don't want to talk about this is because it's an embarrassment to us that we can't control our junior partner in this war. It is embarrassing. I'm not even gonna lie.
President and his team privately. Never underestimate President Trump's ability to successfully advance America's interests and broker peace.
Go ahead here.
President Trump has a proven track record of achieving good deals on behalf of the United States and the American people, and he will only accept one that puts America first. With that, I will take your questions today. I'm sure you have a lot of them. In our new media seat, we have Shane Harris with the AMAC Newsline. Shane, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Caroline. Two questions for you. First, following the president's announcement of the ceasefire, if this is indeed the end of hostilities in Iran, what is the president's message to the American people about what was achieved for our country through Operation Epic Fury?
Sure. I think I just laid out a significant portion of that in my opening remarks. 6 weeks ago, the president looked the American people in the eye directly, and he told them that he launched this operation to take out the imminent threat that was posed by Iran. And that threat has now been greatly destroyed. Their Navy, their missiles, their defense industrial base, and their desire and their plan to build a nuclear bomb inside their country is no longer going to be allowed, can no longer happen.
Bro, we had no intelligence they was building a bomb inside their country. Bro, we didn't even have intelligence that they was at 90% enrichment. We had no intelligence of a nuclear weapons program at all. No idea of a plan, no nothing. They wasn't even talking about it. They was still living under the religious law of the old Ayatollah, which we blew up, by the way. So we don't even know if that religious law still stands anymore. So you know what? I would say this, to be fair. Before we blew up the Ayatollah, there was no plan to make a bomb. After we blew up the Ayatollah, there low-key might be a plan to make a bomb. And it would be in their best self-interest, not in ours, but theirs.
The remarkable success of Operation Epic Fury over the course of the last 38 days. That has been absolutely achieved, and now we're moving into the next phase of this, which is a negotiating period to put some fine points on this and to hopefully broker an agreement that can achieve long-term peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, and then second, what is the president's message to American seniors who have a much higher voter participation rate and they're likely to be a key swing vote in the midterm elections?
Well, the president loves our seniors across the country. And as you know, the president signed the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut last year, which greatly reduced taxes on Social Security for our seniors. In fact, thanks to the Working Families Tax Cut, nearly 90% of seniors will no longer pay tax on their social.
Oh yeah, my bad. I did say I was going to find this, guys, for you, so I got it right here. So let's go over here, quick little peep over to X. And you guys also follow me on X at S.E.T Media. You'll get updates as well. But all right, here. So this is the Iranian foreign minister. So with great humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed on an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective immediately. This is what the not the Iranian, but the Pakistani foreign minister said. This week, and remember, these are both the Pakistanis, they're our allies and they're Iran's allies as well. So this is the best, besides Qatar, these are probably the best guys to be talking to right now. And they're saying, well, when we walked out of that talk, you guys agreed to stop striking everywhere. Yes, US, you did agree. According to Iran and according to Pakistan. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and listen to Pakistan since they're the neutral party. So what are you trying to tell us, Caroline Leavitt? Because according to two sides of the party, we told them that we weren't going to strike Lebanon. We were going to stop everywhere. But apparently Israel was like, F all that. We going to do what we want to do. And they did. Actually, maybe I'll just play out the video a little bit. But pretty much, this is strikes in Lebanon. And we're going to see a lot more of this. Trust me. I got a lot to go through. Actually, let me main screen it for some. But this is the embarrassing part of it. And so far, the death count is like at 250 citizens killed and about 1,700 injured, from the bombings in Lebanon. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get right back into it. Make sure to keep the Lebanese people in your prayers. And all right. Oh, and don't forget to double tap that screen and like the video.
Social Security. That's a huge win for our seniors and also for our middle class and working families across the country with the no tax on tips provision and the no tax on overtime. Next week is tax week. You'll hear a lot from the president about how his policies have benefited the American people. And I'm proud to report that the president will be traveling next week to the great states of Nevada and Arizona to tout this historic accomplishment over the course of the next week. Thank you for being here, Shane. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Iranian state media is saying that Iran has now closed off the Strait of Hormuz today in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon. What's the White House response to that? And you just listed many military successes. I understand that. But strategically, how is the administration arguing that Iran does not have more economic leverage than it did before the start of
Yeah, it does have more economic leverage. I mean, we lifted sanctions off their oil so we can, help out with the oil supply and bring down prices. So yeah, they got lifted sanctions off their oil. They're charging $2 million in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, yeah, be honest with you, they're making more money than Well, before the war, ironically, before the war, it's kind of crazy how without conflict, they was going through it. With conflict, now they're making money. It's wild how that's working out for them. Oh, guys, let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen or smashing that like button, depending on how you're watching, of course.
Sure. Well, with respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Caroline, the president yesterday threatened that a whole civilization would die if a ceasefire deal wasn't reached, understanding that Iranian leaders have previously said death to America. But why is it appropriate for the president of the United States to use that kind of language when talking about civilian targets? And was the president mocking Islam by signing off his True Social post over the weekend, praise be to Allah? Wouldn't that antagonize Muslim allies across the world?
Well, I understand the questions about the president's rhetoric, but what the president cares most about is results. And in fact, his very tough rhetoric and his tough negotiating style is what has led to the result.
Nah, that comment was wild. Man, a civilization might be totally destroyed or whatever. I was like, hey, yo, dog, war crimes? Like, and I know me and Monty was having it out over it, but I'm just like, bro, if we attack these bridges and power plants and mainly citizens get affected by it, mostly citizens, that's a war crime. If we hit it and it does take a good amount of military capability away, then it's all good. But what we were saying was that we were ready to commit war crimes and pretty much do collective punishment on the entirety of the Iranian people, which is not right. Like, what are we, Israel? Okay, my bad. That's probably not the best joke to make.
That you are all witnessing today. Iran publicly acknowledging last night that they have agreed or that they wanted this ceasefire with the United States because they no longer could tolerate being bombed by our very powerful and lethal military, and that they have committed to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which the president will hold them accountable for, and it's something the administration is closely monitoring in real time.
So,
Danny.
Should the world not take his word seriously?
The world should take his word very seriously in understanding that the president is always most interested in results. And it was the Iranians.
I don't know. It's the double speak for me. I mean, like I said, look, we got to pick a side here. Is he Taco Trump or is he the fuck around and find out president? Like, what is he at this point? Because like y'all talking out of both sides of y'all mouths. Like, should we even believe him? I mean, y'all do say he's the president of don't fuck around, like fuck around and find out. I mean, we thought it was that moment right there, but at the pinnacle of it. So now you're telling us, oh, don't take him so seriously, guys. I'm like, what do you mean? Y'all be the one telling us to take him seriously. But okay, though. Okay, we're tripping. We're the ones tripping, apparently.
Who backed down, not President Trump. He said that they would face very grave consequences, as you just laid out, by the 8 p.m. deadline if they did not agree to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And what did they do last night? They agreed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Would President Trump like to see Lebanon included in this peace deal? Because as you know, there's been increased Israeli strikes on Lebanon today with dozens of casualties there.
Sure. Yep. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. That has been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire. As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu put out a statement last night in support of the ceasefire, in support of the United States' efforts. And he's also assured the president they'll continue to be a helpful partner throughout the course of the next 2 weeks.
And like I said, as I read from the Pakistani foreign minister who was, in those conversations about the ceasefire, the Iran foreign minister and the Pakistani foreign minister both said that Lebanon was to be included. Actually, it was Lebanon, Hamas, and the Houthis who are all supposed to be included in that because they said all of their allies, basically all of their proxies in the region.
Is there any thought, though, that the president might like to see Lebanon included at a future date, given that it seems to be causing or potentially undermining the Iran ceasefire?
Again, this will continue to be discussed, I am sure, between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu, the United States and Israel, and all of the parties involved. But at this point in time, they're not included in the ceasefire deal. Jeff.
Thank you. Caroline, will the U.S. take part in talks with Iran in Islamabad on Friday?
I can announce that the president is dispatching his negotiating team, led by the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Witkoff, and Mr. Kushner to Islamabad for talks this weekend. The first round of those talks will take place on Saturday morning local time, and we know we look forward to those in-person meetings.
What role does the president see for the U.S. in monitoring or helping with the Strait of Hormuz going forward?
I think the president commented on that this morning. We're going to continue to monitor it very, very closely. We will be helpful in any way that we can, but we fully expect Iran to do this, and the president has made that quite clear as well. It's, again, as his statement said last night, this ceasefire is subject to the safe reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Again, this was just determined last night. We understand things take time, but that's the president's expectation, and he will hold everyone to it. Sure, in the green blazer.
Thank you, Carol.
Sure. And then in front of you. But Andrew, you can go ahead.
All right.
You're not wearing a green blazer.
I am actually wearing a green blazer.
It's a little brown to me, but go ahead.
Fair enough. Regarding the president's rhetoric, when the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003, George W. Bush
All right, guys. So if you are, be real with you, like this is gonna be a bit real. So let's go ahead and get into the more than 100 strikes just in 10 minutes across Lebanon that Israel did. Let's get right into it because it's pretty damn crazy. But all right. Right, Root. Bro, they hit 8 different cities. 8 different cities. All while we're supposed to be under a ceasefire. Like, it's insane. And then there's more. Now we got, shout out to RT, but 254 killed, 1K injured in Israeli raids across Lebanon, Beirut yesterday. Lebanese Civil Defense Ministry tolls. Let me see here. 160 bombs hit 100 targets in under a minute. And people are saying under a minute, 10 minutes. This is just
طلعت رفاعي هون طلع يا ماما.
So yeah, that's what pretty much Israel was up to while we was trying to make peace. Crazy, huh? Well, over here trying to stop all the killing and the bombing, and well, what does Israel do? Escalates the killing and the bombing. Man.
Said in a message to the Iraqi people that the military campaign was directed, quote, against the lawless men who rule your country and not against you. Yesterday.
Oh, and shout out to my man Jet. He says, not gonna lie, when I seen the post, thought nukes was in play. Yeah, me too, bro. When I seen that end to a total civilization, I'm like, bro, how else you gonna do that? Because I'm gonna be real with you. It's like, if we're gonna nuke them, we better make sure they can't hit back. Because there goes water desalination centers and energy plants all over the region, because that's exactly what Iran's going to do if we nuke them and they're still able to fire. Like, we literally have to devastate every major city in Iran, thus killing millions. Like, bro, really? So trust me, I kind of thought he was serious too, and I was like, it can only go 2 routes. It's either he backs the F off or backs the F off and gets them to the table, or he just says, oh, never mind, I'm not doing that, or he fully commits and we was about to see the end of a civilization, in our lifetime.
The president threatened to destroy Iran's civilization, the entire civilization. Not the Iranian government, but the Iranian civilization, the Iranian people. The U.S. has been a moral leader for most of its history by fighting wars against other governments, not against civilizations. How can the president claim that America can ever have the moral high ground if he's threatening to destroy civilizations and not casting wars as fights against other governments?
Andrew, I think you should take a look at the actions of this president over the course of the past 6 weeks and the actions of our brave men and women in our United States military who have taken out essentially taken out the military of a rogue Islamic regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years, that has killed and maimed thousands of American soldiers over the course of the last 5 decades. The president absolutely has the moral high ground over the Iranian terrorists.
I don't know about that. Now, like I said, no, you're right. They definitely did some terrible things to us, but like I said, it's been a tit for tat game with them. It's not like we just sat there as the innocent victims who just got like beat on by the Iranians. Like, Lord knows that ain't it. No. I remember there was like a shelling that Bill Clinton was doing in Iraq that was killing a bunch of Shia Muslims. And I mean, they took that as a grave offense. There was the fact that we helped fund Saddam in the Iraq. It was in the Iraq and Iran war. Yeah, we backed that man along with the Gulf countries. Actually, the CIA helped Saddam get that chemical weapon to gas Iranians. You don't think they forgot? I mean, they didn't forget that. I hope you know. So when it comes to who holds the high ground, I kind of like to say we're even. I'm like, I don't know. I don't like to do that. Well, they're worse than us, and they're the villains. I'm like, I don't know, man. When you look at history, I mean, let's just call it, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's just get to this ceasefire, okay? Let's not sit here and just pick and pull out of history.
Regime, and for you to even suggest otherwise is frankly insulting.
With all due respect, Caroline,
Go ahead.
with all due respect,
Go ahead.
there is
just given what we've seen in Lebanon today and the increased attacks from Israel, I mean, is there any concern that Netanyahu is trying to kill the ceasefire?
The president spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu last night. And in that private conversation, Prime Minister Netanyahu relayed exactly what he said to the world publicly, that he supports the president and Israel remains a key ally and partner to the United States. They've been a tremendous partner over the course of the past 6 weeks, and we thank them for their heroic efforts as well. The president had that conversation last night, and that was relayed to the world publicly as well. Reagan, go ahead.
Caroline, I have a question for you on Iran and I have a question on the Dignity Act as well. On Iran, it's been reported that the ceasefire was struck after the involvement of 2 unlikely factors, J.D. Vance and China. What role did those parties play in striking a deal?
Well, Vice President Vance has played a very significant and a key role in this since the very beginning. Of course, he's the president's right-hand man. He is the vice president of the United States. He's been involved in all of these discussions. And as I just announced, he'll be leading this new phase of negotiations in Islamabad later this week. With respect to China, there were conversations that took place between top levels of our government and China's government. The president has great respect for President Xi and a great working relationship with him and with that country. And he looks forward to visiting China in just a few weeks.
And on the Dignity Act, it's getting a fresh push through Congress. It would give some illegal immigrants in the country a path to citizenship. What's the White House's position on this legislation, and would the president sign it if it made it to his desk?
Honestly, Reagan, I haven't spoken to the president about the legislation, but I will have that conversation, and we'll get you our formal position on it as soon as we can. You're welcome. Go ahead.
The president suggested in an interview this morning that he would support a joint U.S.-Iran venture to charge tolls for ships going through the strait. Does the president believe that the U.S. should earn revenue from the Strait of Hormuz going forward?
It's an idea the president has floated, as you know, and it's something that will continue to be discussed over the course of the next 2 weeks. But the immediate priority of the president is the reopening of the strait without any limitations, whether in the form of tolls or otherwise.
And on the highly enriched uranium, has Iran given the administration any indication that it would simply turn over the enriched uranium, or is this an expectation that the president has that he would have to send in ground troops in order to do that?
This is on the top of the priority list for the president and his negotiating team as they head into this next round of discussions. And as I said in my opener, that is a red line that the president is not going to back away from. And he's committed to ensuring that takes place. We hope it will be through diplomacy.
Have they given any indication that they would turn it over?
They have. Yes. Trevor.
The latest news out of Iran is that the air defenses have been activated in several cities, including Isfahan, and that explosions have been heard in Isfahan. Who is bombing Iran right now?
Were those reports just as of a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I'll have to go back and check with the national security team. I'm standing out here with all of you, but I will do that and we will get you an answer, okay?
And just on the civilization question that we've been talking about.
And I would just add to that point, again, I haven't seen these reports. I'm not verifying them. Not that I don't trust you, Trevor, but I want to go back and check with the experts here at the White House. I would just say, and I would echo what the vice president said this morning, this is a fragile truce. Ceasefires are fragile by nature. We've seen this with respect to the 12-day war with Iran and Israel last year. It takes time sometimes for these ceasefires to be fully effectuated. And one of the results of Operation Epic Fury was we completely dismantled Iran's command and control center, which makes it difficult for them to pass messages up and down the chain. And so we understand that. I would caution a little bit of patience, but of course we want to see the ceasefire effectuated and abided by all parties as quickly as possible.
Thank you. And American presidential administrations, going back to Ronald Reagan, have said this formulation about nuclear war, that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. Is that still the view of this administration, given the president's comments about civilization?
I have no change in our view on that policy. Katie.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm just, given the gravity of what he said yesterday, what was your understanding of what he meant when he said, this civilization is going to be eliminated?
I think it was a very, very strong threat from the president of the United States that led the Iranian regime to cave to their knees and ask for a ceasefire and agree to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. So it was a very strong threat that led to results.
I don't know about that. If that was the case, then I mean, they conceded to all our demands, no questions asked, not sending us their demands. I mean, think about it. Like, how does that work? They're sending us their demands. I thought we, put the fear of Allah on them, and now they're over here at the table begging for mercy. But that don't sound right if they're over here sliding their demands like, yeah, but this is what I want. That doesn't sound like somebody that surrendered.
And as the Secretary of War stated at the Pentagon this morning, it was not an empty threat by any means. The Pentagon had a target list that they were ready to hit go on at 8 p.m. last night if the Iranian regime had not agreed to open the strait, which they did. And I think that's something we should all be grateful for.
The United States is a moral leader in the world, given that
I was asked this exact same question by your colleague Andrew in the back. And I think, again, the insinuation by anyone in this room that Iran somehow has the moral high ground over the United States of America is insulting, considering the atrocity.
Well, I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't like to say this, but we did start this war. We did attack them first, and we don't have information at all that they're actually going towards a nuclear weapon or the IAEA, which they would have told the entire world that. So yeah, I'll be real with you. Like, bro, I hate to say this, but when it comes to this war, we don't have the moral high ground for it. We shouldn't even be in it. I mean, this is a war of choice, not necessity.
That they have, considering the atrocities that they have committed against our people and our military over the past 5 decades. John, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. 2 questions for you. One has to do with a statement, a joint statement put out this morning by some of America's European allies, our NATO allies. And in that joint statement, they said regarding the Strait of Hormuz, our governments will contribute to ensuring freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. What's the administration's reaction to that joint statement? Does that smooth things over when the president meets with NATO Secretary General a little bit later this afternoon?
I have a direct quote from the president of the United States on NATO, and I will share it with all of you. They were tested and they failed. And I would add, it's quite sad that NATO turned their backs on the American people over the course of the last 6 weeks when it's the American people who have been funding their defense. As you know,
and like I said, here's a problem with like the bashing of NATO now. Like I said, like Trump, he always had a good point about NATO. Like, we're basically funding it. They're not paying their fair share. And like, let's be real. Like, we're over here paying for their military while they're providing social services for their people, like free healthcare. So trust me, I don't like NATO either. But trying to sit there and get mad at NATO because they didn't follow us into this conflict like we did with Israel is not cool. Like, first off, NATO, sadly, is a reactive alliance. So, AKA, somebody got to attack us for them to hop on them. And somebody got to attack a NATO country for us to react to them. So we just can't do it. We just aren't sitting there going like, oh no, they can drag us into a conflict and we can drag them into a conflict. If that was the case, bro, we'd be fighting in Ukraine right now if that was the case, but it's not. So I don't know where we've got this image of NATO where we're just allowed to drag them into any conflict and not what. And the thing, we didn't even tell them that we was popping this off. We expect them to join. We made the mess, but now we're asking them to clean it up. It is a bit of a dickhead move. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't like the look of it.
President Trump will be meeting with Secretary Ruta in a couple of hours here at the White House, and I know he looks forward to having a very frank and candid conversation with him.
And then secondly, in regards to this conflict, 38 days, as you pointed out, President Trump has said that there's been regime change. Has that regime change led to more freedoms for the Iranian people?
No. I think that's a question that's being asked a little bit too early, John. And
I'm gonna tell you the reality. No, it did not actually. Actually, it made it worse. Yes, the Iranians that were protesting in the street are now being hung. I mean, public execution one by one. So far, what? There's been like, I know Fox News put out 6 of them, and probably going to be even more. So no, we made things worse for these people that are against the regime, and now they're getting hung in the streets by the people who support the regime. I mean, and then there was a wrestler who got hung, and I mean, that one came with a wild story. Actually, he got hung because he chopped up 2 police officers. So yeah, that was that one. But there was other protesters that all they did was protest, but they got hung anyway. And of course, you know, if you're against the regime and you're willing to get violent about it, yeah, they'll execute you.
We hope that is the case, but it's something that has yet to be seen. Eamon.
Caroline, on this question of tolling by the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz, I've heard you talk about a number of red lines that the president has.
And, you know, this is a time to be happy that you live in America where you can protest, you know, without getting hung.
This negotiation, but I haven't heard you say that Iranian tolling in the Strait of Hormuz is a red line. Would it be acceptable to the United States at the end of all this if the Iranians are able to charge tolls in the Strait of Hormuz?
I think the president was very clear and simplistic in his language last night in his Truth Social post, where he said that this ceasefire is subject to the free, safe, and immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. That's very plain language, and it should be taken at face value.
You mean free of charge?
Carrie, go ahead. Without limitation, including tolls, yes. Carrie.
Quick follow-up on the tolling. Why would the U.S. allow Iran to collect tolls in the Strait of Hormuz? That's not something that we've opposed for a number of years now.
Again, that's not something we've said that we've definitively accepted. The joint venture is something that was proposed by the president, but he was very clear in his statement last night. He wants to see the strait reopened immediately without limitation, and that's something we're going to hold them to.
Second question
on family and friends in Iran. I myself am Iranian, and I've been talking to them through the blackout. One of my family members yesterday said goodbye to me. So what message should we be sending Iranians when they message me saying, what should they be doing right now? How should they stay safe? Because they really don't know what to do.
I know, right? The very people we said we're saving, we're bombing. And Trump said the insane line of, oh, they get scared when we're not bombing them. It's like, wait, what? Whoa. He's like, actually, they get scared when they hear the bomb stop. That's insane. That was insane to sit there and say that the Iranian people like being bombed. And people were actually going with that. I was like, oh, yeah, y'all really, I'm sorry, but y'all drunk the Kool-Aid. Look, man, look. I like Trump, but, bro, I'm not going to let the man sit there and just tell me that people like being bombed and then be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, when has that ever been the reality? Ever? When has anybody ever like being bombed or pillaged or arrowed? Like, come on now.
I think the president's main priority and my main priority as his spokeswoman is to make sure that clear messages are sent to the American people, of course, which is my job today. With respect to the Iranian people, the president, has taken out the imminent threat that was posed by their military to the United States. To our
guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way, but let's make sure we are double tapping that screen.
allies in the region, to our forces in the region. And of course, as the president has long said, he hopes that Iran will be a country of peace, of prosperity, and we're moving into this next round of negotiations to hopefully come to an agreement with this new regime that will create long-term stability in the Middle East.
He has said that they should stay inside of their homes and also take back their country. So there's a contradiction there. So how do you address that?
Again, we're moving into this next round of negotiations with the remnants of the regime and those that we are speaking with now to hopefully reach a place of peace long term for the region, and that includes the Iranian people as well. In the blue, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. The White House posted the statement from the Iranian government that the passage in the Strait will be coordinated with Iran's armed forces. As of today, who controls the Strait of Hormuz?
Again, these statements were put out 12 hours ago. We expect that the strait will be opened immediately. As I said earlier, we have seen an uptick in traffic in the strait, and it's something that we are monitoring minute by minute, hour by hour as the days go on.
Who controls the strait right now?
One on the deportations of Iranian officials.
Look, lady, it's Iran, okay? She ain't gonna tell you, but that's who still controls the strait, Iran. Want to know how I know? Because after Lebanon, well, not Lebanon, but after Israel bombed Lebanon, Iran stopped all traffic through the Strait of Hormuz again. So that's who controls the Strait of Hormuz, Iran. Wasn't like that before the war, though.
On the negotiations, are there still security concerns about Vice President Vance being part of these peace talks? Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. And then two, given the ongoing deportation of General Soleimani's niece, does the Trump administration plan to deport more relatives or people in the families of Iranian officials that are in the U.S.?
Certainly, anyone who is here fraudulently. I understand one of the individuals who.
Guys, if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just go ahead and send a super chat in, or you can hit me up on Venmo. And also, yeah, we do have a problem with the StreamYard. For some reason, it's not showing the YouTube chats. I won't be able to bring up the chats on screen, sadly. I know, right? Sucks. But I'll most likely be fixed tomorrow.
Their visa was revoked by Secretary Rubio, and they were deported by ICE. They had a fraudulent asylum claim. That's against the laws of the United States. So anyone who is here illegally or fraudulently is subject to our nation's immigration laws and will be removed.
Now, this was about Qasem Soleimani's great niece and her mother who got deported, and everybody was going like, oh, that's a freedom of speech violation. She's allowed to support the Ayatollah within the United States. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, you're right. She is. They are. You are allowed to support anybody you want in the United States because we got freedom of speech. But here's the problem, though. She violated her asylum claim. She's talking about, oh, I'm running away from Iran, but you went and visited Iran like 4 times. So apparently it can't be that dangerous if you want to go vacation there 4 times. Yeah, goodbye.
From our country, and I know this continues to be a top priority for the State Department, working in conjunction with the Department of Homeland Security. With respect to the safety of the Vice President, we fully trust the United States Secret Service to do their job, to keep the Vice President and the President's negotiating team safe. They do a tremendous job, and we fully trust them to do that.
Caroline.
In the back, go ahead.
The president has said Cuba is next. What's the message to the American people regarding Cuba, and what can Cubans expect in relation to this statement?
Well, look, I think when President Trump said that, and he later clarified after making that statement, that he meant the Cuban regime is bound to fall. Their country is very weak. They're in a very weak position economically, obviously, financially. The Cuban people are fed up with their government, as they should be. And these talks and discussions continue to happen at the highest level of our government. I don't have any updates or announcements for you with respect to Cuba policy today. Good to see you.
Thank you, Caroline. Secretary Hegseth said this morning that U.S. troops would be sticking around. Can you expound upon that, what we should expect from U.S. troops in theater for the next 2 weeks and beyond?
I would defer you to the Pentagon for any specifics on assets that have been in place in the Middle East, but take the Secretary at his word, and also the President has reiterated this as well in his own words, that we're not going to move anything immediately. Again, this is a 2-week ceasefire where we hope at the end, and we expect at the end, we'll have a good agreement between the United States and Iran. But in the meantime, we're going to ensure that our military is always at the ready of the Commander-in-Chief. I'll take a couple more in the back. Sure. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you, Matt.
On NATO, I'll take your question. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Caroline. On NATO, can you tell me, is the United States still considering withdrawing from NATO? Is that still a possibility?
It's something the president has discussed, and I think it's something the president will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Rutte, and perhaps you'll hear directly from the president following that meeting later this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
All righty. All right, now let's get into a little bit of international media. Then we'll get back into American media, because you need to hear Bibi Netanyahu pretty much tell us to our face the ceasefire with Iran will not include Hezbollah, even though that's pretty much what we agreed to. So let's go ahead and get right into it with our favorite prime minister in the Middle East, Bibi.
I'd like to confirm that this is not the last war. I'd like to confirm that this is not the last war. It is a step towards the path where we need to achieve all our goals. Iran now is a weak country more than any time before. Iran now is forced to open the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has abandoned.
Yeah, which is wild, because if it was like I said, if it was forced, then I'm gonna be real with you, they wouldn't be tossing us demands talking about, yeah, we're about to start, charging fees to go through there. And the only reason why it was open for that short time until you bombed Lebanon, yeah, I mean, it was only because we was abiding by that ceasefire that, well, once again, Israel broke. Let me be real with you, this is like the third ceasefire these people have broken. Well, the Israeli government has broken within like the past 2 years. Third one. I mean, they broke the one with Hamas. They broke the one with Hezbollah twice, by the way. And then they broke the one with Iran as well. I mean, they just don't care.
All its goals, and including the ceasefire in Lebanon. At the time, Iran is very weak, as I said, and Israel.
Hey, shout out to my man, the Cap Hunter. He says, keep up the good work. Hey, man, glad to see you, big dog. Oh, and shout out to all those support, man. Shout out to my man, Jet, and the Cap Hunter. And if you send a gift, shoot, I'll probably see it eventually. But appreciate the support. And like I said, any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, you go ahead and send it in on a super chat or Venmo. I'll be happy to reply to it.
On the contrary, is stronger than any time before. We worked at the beginning of the war hand in hand with our friend Donald Trump and the U.S. Army in a campaign that is the biggest in the history of the Middle East. No one has witnessed this before. No one has seen such a partnership between Israel and the U.S. against our biggest enemy. This hasn't happened before at all.
בכל אופן, מי שבוחר להתעלם מעוצמת השותפות הזו, פשוט מתעלם מן האמת.
We're bringing you coverage of a statement that is being made by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is possibly one of the first statements that he's made since the ceasefire was announced between the United States and Iran. In the brief part that we heard there, he's referred to this as simply a first step in